Hello, everyone. Well, it is time. That day has arrived. It is Day of Her Grace, and this is the final day of the Festival of the Mother, when we celebrate mothers everywhere, including our Heavenly Mother. So, Heavenly Mother's Day has gone and passed, and we've been celebrating the Festival of the Mother with the Mother's Day weekend, and now comes Day of Her Grace. This is the final day of the Festival of the Mother, and it's dedicated toward forgiveness. Forgiveness of sins, forgiveness of things you may have done wrong. Now, I should note that on this day, Day of Her Grace, we are forgiven by Goddess for things that we've done against Goddess. So any crime we may have committed or any wrongdoing we may have done also affects the Goddess. So the Goddess forgives us for that. But then we also need the forgiveness of the people we did it to. Now, I just wanted to say briefly what I think of Biden and his actions in recent days. Here's what he did. Okay, this is what Biden did. He first was supporting a bill in Congress to fully fund Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan in their war efforts and also defense of their country. And he said that he would support it, and he signed it into law. He signed a $26 billion deal for aid to Israel into law. And then he went back on his word and said he wouldn't send any bombs or any support to Israel, but he's fully funding the war in Ukraine. Does this seem right to you? Fully funding the war in Ukraine, but denying any money to Israel at the same time when he signed it into law and said he would support it. And what he's doing is actually against the law. There's a law that says that is supposed to check the power of the president to do an arms embargo of a country or choose not to send aid to a country in whatever event that the Congress has made that decision that the president can't block it. But that's exactly what Biden is doing, and this is going to end up in the courts, I'm afraid. But what was really bad was what he did to Mike Johnson. Biden has made a fool out of Mike Johnson because Mike Johnson believed that if he fully funded Ukraine, that Israel would also get their money. And all he wanted was aid to Israel. That's all Mike Johnson wanted, was the aid to Israel. And now Biden, who signed it into law, is going back on his word. He's going back on his word to send aid to Israel and then just sends all the aid to Ukraine and whatever country he prefers to send aid to, he does. That's what Biden does. He sends aid to whatever country he sees fit. And he made a fool out of Mike Johnson because Mike Johnson trusted Biden. And he trusted Biden to go through with it. He trusted Biden to send the aid to Israel if Ukraine got their money. And then Biden just did whatever the hell he felt like. And did whatever he felt like doing. That's what Biden did. So Biden is not only committed a crime in office, but he also made a fool of Mike Johnson, went back on his word. No wonder that woman in the House what I can't remember her name now. she's very unmemorable. She wanted Mike Johnson out of there, but Mike Johnson survived because he got backing from Democrats. But Biden has made a fool out of Mike Johnson, and um, he Mike Johnson should have suspected. He should have suspected Biden, and he shouldn't have trusted him, and shouldn't have put through the bill for Ukraine and Israel, knowing that Biden would cut off aid to Israel and just do Ukraine. But that's what Biden did. Biden picked favorites. Now think about this. Here's something I want you to think about. We are sad for the Russian civilians because Ukraine has already started bombing indiscriminately within Russia. Ukraine has been dropping bombs in Russia and indiscriminately killing civilians. They struck a apartment complex in Russia and demolished it. That's what the Ukraine did. And Ukraine denied any wrongdoing. But that's what Russia's supposedly been doing to Ukraine. Russia's been bombing Ukraine and bombing apartment complexes and killing innocent civilians. And now Ukraine is bombing Russian civilians. So we should mourn the loss of these Russian civilians, right? Because they were innocent. They had nothing to do with it. And now by fully funding Ukraine, Biden is guaranteeing that those Russian civilians will suffer a devastating loss. A devastating loss of life. So that's what we get for our money. That's what we get for funding Ukraine, is a loss of life and the loss of innocent Russian civilians. Do you get the gist now? Do you see what I'm leading up to? That comparing Russian civilians to Palestinian civilians. Which civilians are more important? Russian civilians, Palestinian civilians? Obviously, Biden has put a premium on Palestinian civilians. He really cares about those Palestinian civilians and really cares whether they get bombed or not. But he doesn't give a damn about Russian civilians. It's the same thing. Russia's the aggressor. But there's Russian civilians that we have to look after. And on the other hand, Palestine is the aggressor, but we have to worry about the Palestinian civilians. So that's the double-edged sword. Biden is just a rank hypocrite. He's a political beast. He's a beast, and he's a political beast. And he just does everything for the sake of his politics. Everything he thinks people want. Whatever people want, that's what he gives them. Because he wants to win, no matter what. What is his real goal? What is his real goal? His real goal is hatred of Trump. That's why he said that he ran for office, because he hated Trump. And he couldn't stand the thought of Trump being president again. So that's why he ran. Had something to do with race, I think. He accused Trump of something that Trump didn't do. And just it was because of the riots in I don't know if it was West Virginia or Kentucky. I can't even remember. But he said that what Trump said was unacceptable, and that he was running against Trump to make sure Trump didn't get in office again. And he was right. He won. Biden won. But since then, he's made a fool out of Mike Johnson. He's made a fool out of himself, because you could see the hypocrisy. And Mike Johnson should have never gone for the bill because he should have known that Biden would cheat and double cross him. He should have known, but he didn't know. So, the real question is, when does Biden get forgiven? Biden, on a cosmic scale, can be forgiven by God as if he asks the goddess for forgiveness, which I doubt he's done because he doesn't think he did anything wrong. But on the other side of it, on the human scale, and human scale is different from cosmic scale. On the human scale of things, nobody can forgive him until he's done with the final effects of what he's done. So after it's all played out, after Israel doesn't get the aid they need after Israel doesn't get the aid they need to defend themselves, after the Russian civilians are killed with Biden's bombs, after the Ukrainian civilians are killed when Russia retaliates, after it's all played out and even the threat of a nuclear war, after all that is played out, then and only then can humans decide whether they want to forgive Biden for what he did or not. And so you can see that what Biden did had repercussions beyond that which we could have imagined, beyond which for sure that he could have imagined, because he's just a little man. Biden is just a little man. He's a little guy. He's not a great big guy, and that's what appealed to people. People were appealed to Biden because he's a little guy. He's not a big, great statesman or anything. He's just an ordinary little guy. But he's a political beast. That's what he's become during his time in office in various roles as senator, as vice president, and now as president. He's become a beast. And a political beast. And this is just the sort of person that Trump referred to when he said he would drain the swamp and talked about deep state. Now, I'm not going to argue with you about deep state. Yes, the deep state exists. No, Biden is not part of the deep state, although he is part of the state, but not the deep state. But Biden really, really should not have done what he did. He should not have refused aid to Israel, and he should not have continued to send aid to Ukraine while he deprived Israel of aid. He shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have done it, and now he's in the doghouse because we caught him. We caught him doing it, and so now here comes the subject, the thorny subject of the assassination attempt in Slovakia. It was just today, I think. Was just today. There was an assassination attempt in Slovakia, and the Prime Minister of Slovakia, Robert Fico, was brutally shot in broad daylight and taken to the nearest hospital, and they caught the assailant. They wrestled him to the ground. Just terrible. And so you wonder to yourself, when is this a would-be assassin going to be either punished or forgiven, whichever it is? Will he be forgiven? Only after every single person that could be affected by his attempted assassination is affected. After all of the effects are over, then humans on their human side scale can decide whether to forgive him. And then Of course, we don't know what all the repercussions will be because it's a prime minister. Prime minister is a head of state, and the prime minister makes decisions that affect many, many, many people. And they have not only many friends and well-wishers and family around them, and there was also the voters that voted him into office, and even the voters that didn't vote him into office. All of those people will be affected by this. If the prime minister doesn't live, they'll be affected even more. So what should be a fitting punishment for that would be considered treasonous act, would be high treason, and also attempted assassination of a public figure. Then, but that's considered worse than murder, is an assassination, because it affects so many people. So when will he be forgiven? Well, he could be forgiven by all the people, and Goddess can't make up for this. Goddess can't make up for the forgiveness of the people he's affected. So it's got to all play out first until the very last person is dead that would have been affected by this. And then we can decide whether to forgive him or not. So he can't be forgiven yet. He can be forgiven later, but he can't be forgiven yet. And he's got to be remorseful because people won't forgive him if he's not remorseful. If he has no mercy and no compassion for the person that he tried to kill, they're not going to forgive him. That because people tend to be unforgiving of people like that. So he's made karma for himself that's going to last several lifetimes, I'm afraid. And this attempted assassin, this would-be assassin, is going to be tried for treason at the very least, and probably they'll kill him and put him to death. So, where is the forgiveness for him? So you see, this day of her grace, you've learned a lesson about the human side of forgiveness versus the divine side of forgiveness. Goddess is endlessly forgiving. She forgives everyone with open arms, but she can't forgive for a human being. She can't replace a human being who has a rightful claim against that's been a victim of somebody who's committed a crime. So Goddess can't take their place. She can't take their place. She can only forgive acts against herself. And so, because of that, it's up to us. It's up to us whether to forgive these people or not. But first we have to see it play out. And we have to see what all the repercussions of all their actions will be. And then, only then, can real forgiveness take place. I'm Sarah Jane Alpha Wolf signing off. You guys have a terrific day of her grace, and decide who you want to forgive and whether you can forgive them yet before you know what all their actions will lead to and how it'll all play out.